been a really long day. Well, a long week for all of us putting the event together today, our summit, which went off really well. Thank you to everyone. That was awesome. Everyone did a great job.
Great.
Except for Chris, who did a terrible job.
I did my part.
He did his part. Yeah. Just comments.
The comments are the hard part, man. Give him a break.
Yeah, I was in that section.
He was already calling his congressman, like, that's what we want. So,
yes, thanks, Bill. It was a great event today. Woo!
So we have our esteemed presenter, Greg Reybold, with us. I don't know why I'm taking the lead talking, other than I tend to push my co-hosts out of the way and take my, I guess, my authority as executive director a little too far. But Lauren and Jeremy, thank you for agreeing to do a joint episode so that we could be here with Greg and talk about the summit today. Greg, you were wonderful. You and the congressman were just fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's always like pressure, right? Like, because he was on listening, obviously, to portions of the summit. So I was trying to move because people want to hear from him, really. So.
Yeah.
Now, Greg, does he get upset because you were so much better looking than he is? Like, do you steal his spotlight just a little bit too much?
I pick up on signals, right? I mean, he's never come out and said it, but
people ask me that.
I get it,
Jeremy, all the time.
It's the curse we bear, Jeremy, right? Like
it is. It's hard going through life with this much magnetism.
Are people even listening to the words coming out of our mouth, right? That's the.
I know. Look up here. Like my face is up here.
Oh my God. Oh, no, we had so many positive comments today from the summit. It was incredible to see that energy again. I absolutely love John Vinson. I think Senator Hammer deserves a statue in pretty much every place he goes, because he just has such a quiet, unassuming nature. And then he just continues to impress us. 16 years of service in Arkansas legislature. That is no small feat. That's incredible.
Fueled by a deep, deep disdain of PBMs, right? So
yes,
the deepest, disdain for PBMs.
Well, I want to get straight into it. Greg, tell everyone the news that you told us today, talking about PFB and what we're doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, tons of momentum coming out of last year. 50, what was it, Lauren? 57 co-sponsors, I think. And so there's a lot of momentum, and we're hoping to pick that up and just build on that. In a perfect world, personally, I would have loved to see it been introduced, a little bit earlier, right? Just to keep it going. But we are really close. We're hoping to see in the first week to 2 weeks in October. Political winds blow, but that's what we're looking for, to see two versions of Pharmacists Fight Back introduced. And we think there's good reasons to have two versions. The first is going to act in Medicare and Medicaid. The second is going to act in the Federal Employee Health Benefits Program. That one doesn't get as much attention, right? But it's the largest self-funded employer plan in the country. So it's a really important one. And we've seen lots of egregious practices, just like we've seen in Medicare, right? We see the steering, we see the markups, we see the rebate games. And so we're going to have two versions of the bill. One should be assigned to Energy and Commerce, we expect, which will be the one acting in Medicare and Medicaid, and the other in oversight. And so we believe this is going to increase the chances of getting this marked up, because one bill isn't going to act in too many committees. And then on top of that, we, in a perfect world, Congressman Auchincloss said it, right? Like in a perfect world, you're going to have these committees really wanting to show who's leading on PBM reform. And so we should be right there. Patients before monopolies, we're expecting to see that one come back too. And so, there's going to be some good work to do and exciting things here on the back end of the year. This is the first year of the biennial. So, the bills that get introduced this year, if they're not passed, they're still viable, and you can still move them through the committee process and ultimately work towards those becoming law in 2026 as well. So listen, I just got tonight, literally 5 minutes before this went on air, I got to Pigeon Forge with the kids. But the first time I ever talked to Congressman Auchincloss, we were literally pulling into Gatlinburg, and he called. And, how often do you talk to an actual congressperson and it lasts more than 2 minutes? never. And so we're like looking at the hotel, all the glitz, 3-hour drive. And I pull over to the side. I tell my kids, it'll be 5 minutes tops, and was on the phone with him for over an hour. And he was just asking, deliberate question about PBMs, one after the other. And, just off of that conversation, this guy's different, right? This guy is doing his homework, dynamic, smart on the issue. And he was asking questions that nobody else asks. And I think that's what makes him just a different kind of bill sponsor, right? And we've seen this, in other states as well, right? But there's a lot of people can introduce bills, and some people can run bills and just master the issue. And, he can talk with the best of them on the nuances of PBMs and how they operate. And it took that very first phone call to know that. So
he's always really impressed me with his knowledge of the subject matter. He's just a smart guy, and he really took to this.
It would have been great if the people that got involved with the drug price negotiations for Medicare had done maybe a little bit of their homework as well. Because, you get these fixes where it feels like someone like Googled the answer and they're like, we'll just do it this way. We'll just force it, on the top end. And then it leaves all these middle layers. And here we are, right? 2020, since we're talking about 2026 coming around. Now we're going to deal with that, right? So it'd be great. It's wonderful that he does that. Greg, could you just talk to them and maybe get more of those guys to do their homework too? I think it's obviously you. You're obviously the congressman whisperer.
Well, look, I mean, I think Chairman Comer out of Kentucky, right? The work he's done on oversight, with the hearings that he's done. Now he's looking into the offshore GPOs. So there's another one who's just, digging deep into these practices and willing to do these deep dives. And that's what we need, right? We need folks who get it and who are willing to do the work. And those two certainly are two that jump out at me.
Absolutely. And Congressman Auchincloss did give us our call to action, as we were hoping he would do during the summit today. I know Greg was really hoping that he would say 200 plus co-sponsors by, next week. I really think I could see it in your face, Greg, that you were like, please, let's up the ante a little more next year.
Well, he did say to me the other day, he wanted to beat what we had, right? But he also said he's, we want the co-sponsors, we want the broad support, but we're looking to move this bill. Right. Yeah, so that's ultimately what it was. But so last year it was a high number, and it was also, Monique, what was it, by Thanksgiving? Was that what it was? Or
yeah.
It was by Thanksgiving, and 2 days before Thanksgiving was when we got our 50th, which happened to be a congressman from Arizona, which felt so good because we had been turned down in Arizona over and over, and a whole lot of oh yeah, no, that sounds good, and then a whole lot of no action. And it was Congressman Juan Ciscomani in District 6, which is Tucson. He himself, served in the armed forces. I mean, this guy, he and his staff person Alex were just amazing the whole time. So it was like a movie getting that phone call, because I think all of us were like,
I was live casting.
Jeremy was live. If you haven't seen it yet, that was joy and emotion personified. It was amazing. If you haven't seen that video yet, awesome. Go find it.
Yeah, I was on with Claudia at the time. It was insane. Yeah. I'm trying to see if we've got it uploaded, and I don't think we have it here.
Oh, that was great. Hopefully it's
still if we do, I think I'll send it to their office just so that they can see the joy that they caused there. And we were, so some of us were in Washington last week and we're doing some congressional visits, and we were hinting that I guess if by hinting, I mean, as I do, we told them that the Pharmacists Fight Back Act was coming and that we would like their support. We started seeding for that. So hopefully that we'll start to see some results from that as well. Some of the people who are commenting right now were also there and extremely, instrumental in helping us get the word out. And she knows who she is, Brandy.
Yeah, it's one of those things. A lot of people have been waiting for it for a while, and it's better that we do it right this time because we want it to pass rather than, get it out immediately at the beginning of the year when everyone, wanted it to do it and keep up momentum. But we have to be strategic about it because guess what, everyone, it has a shot. So we've got to be really smart about it. So it's coming, and it's going to be go time with it.
Listen, if I know anything, right, in my years of working, if independent pharmacies behind something and they put their heart and soul in it, it always has a shot.
Yeah. That was
Absolutely.
uplifting, Greg.
What did you guys think about his, I loved his analogy about putting the pharmacists behind the wheel in the same way you put the air traffic controllers behind the wheel. What did you guys think about that?
It makes total sense.
Yeah.
It does, right? I mean, what he said, right? Like air traffic controllers, for the most part, just want to land the plane safely, right? So, and pharmacists just want to be able to be there to care for their patients, and they want their patients to be able to get the drugs they need. I think I love the way he looked at that. But while it sounds, and it is simple, right? But he is a smart policy mind, and healthcare and drug pricing, by design, is incredibly opaque and complex and complicated. And for him to just kind of see that and get that fairly quickly, that, hey, if we want to change the system, we do it through the eyes of independent pharmacists. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like when Otto was talking earlier, he spent years just trying to get lawmakers in Virginia just to understand part of it. And the fact that Representative Auchincloss just took to it so quickly. We've found quite a champion. It's incredible, really. You don't come across someone like him every day, not ever. Yeah. Like, he is a generational champion for our cause.
The statements he did in front of Congress were just next level when he grilled the CVS CEO, David Joyner, about the true cost. That was the most epic thing I've ever seen. I was just like, that was incredible. I was just like jumping up and down on the pharmacy, like, finally someone put this guy, they put the real question to him, and they lied outright, like in front of Congress. And it's crazy.
Did you ever see his thing that he did where he was describing the difference, like between, he was using Netflix as the example, and he was using like what a prior authorization is. And
yes.
I mean, he's just good. He's good that way. But there is someone else I do want to say, because I think we could all spend all of our time just, fawning over Jake Auchincloss, and he deserves every second of that. But our state legislators were fantastic. This was the first chance that I got to meet Otto in person, so to speak. He is someone that we wanted to have on our panel all the way back at the beginning when we were first doing this. And it was so great to have him join us. Lauren, I thought you were just so good in all of your questions and how you drew out of everybody these incredible stories. I think Otto did a great job of summarizing what we all experienced through Jeremy is like, weeks and weeks of really hard work. And then, and I loved that story. Was it Eccles who told about how the lobbyists deregistered?
Yeah.
Yep. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Our friend Chris from Tennessee, he was very much in the comment section saying, like, rats from a sinking ship. That's exactly what he said. That reminded him of, and that's totally appropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be. They should be fucking ashamed. They should be, to represent these people, and it needs to be this way. It needs to be this way going forward. Like, they're representing people that hurt patients, that are dismantling the entire system, that are sucking the entire system dry. Yep. They should be ashamed to represent them. Like, this isn't the health plans from 30 years ago where everyone thought, oh, hey, they're actually trying to put a health plan together. And no, these are vertically integrated companies that are taking advantage of the system and killing people. So no, everyone should be abandoning them. And if you've got any self-respect, you should never represent PBMs.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
I usually text Greg during a committee hearing whenever he's speaking in Georgia, and usually when someone from the other side comments, and I'm angrily texting Greg, like, how is he able to say that lie in front of people? And look at his tie. Look how terrible he looks. Jamie's just a big fat liar. Or Michael, or whichever PCMA lobbyist or opposition person tends to be speaking. And Greg just has very calm demeanor. And he's like, don't worry, we beat him. We already had the people. We got him. And that's the best.
Being very gracious. Usually it's like, your tie's crooked, or sit down, abort. Like, but But nobody, Lauren, this isn't a hyperbole. I don't think anybody has watched more PBM hearings than you. Yeah. Like in every state, the players. I think you can recite like every PBM lobbyist, contract lobbyist, in-house lobbyist.
They're all on my dartboard. I have them all on my dartboard. Yeah. That's why I love Representative Eccles from Louisiana, because he is no nonsense. He's a lot like Representative Knight from Georgia, just really breaks it down that he's there for the patients. He doesn't care about any of the other noise happening, and he is ready to fight. He had an extremely hard uphill battle because there was another bill going at the same time in Louisiana that was about PBM reform. The other bill was much more in tune with what John Vincent and our friends from Arkansas were talking about with their Act 624. And so that was one reason that CVS was really pummeling all of their patients and all of the residents of Louisiana with these texts saying there's going to be a prescription tax. We're going to have to close. No one's going to be able to get their prescriptions here. And so he was working on a more traditional PBM reform bill while at the same time this other one was happening. And so it just happened that the legislators were really wanting to pass something, and Representative Eccles had the right bill at the right time and the support that he needed from the governor, the AG's office. They really wanted to stick it to CVS. And so he was able to get that across the finish line, and we were thrilled to watch that.
I've got a question for y'all. Like, do you coming off the summit, right? And you've been doing these summits. I mean, I think the first one I was at, Monique, was 2017. Was that in Louisiana? Mm-hmm. But like, look at where you all are at, right? And the punches that you all are throwing. But everyone on this call was in the thick of a major fight in their states, and your other board members as well, right? So you guys have been like centrally in fights in all of your states, like racking up big wins, right? If somebody was betting on what was going to happen in Virginia this year 4 months in advance, right? Like, folks didn't see that coming. Lauren, you've been, hammering, in Illinois for how long? And so, like, you all are in the thick. You're throwing punches everywhere, right? There's a PUTT board member testifying in Arkansas. And then here you are also sort of in the thick of the fight at the federal level. Just do y'all step back and just think about sort of where this organization is now and how central it is to all of these fights. And I would say the right fights.
Yeah. And Greg, I've got to thank you, because you kept me sane through a lot of it. And you gave me very, very good direction during the fight in Virginia, because there were times I was ready just to just completely freak out and just like lay all my cards on the table, or just, fully go full force. And you're like, all right. Listen, what you got to do is you got to be smart about this. And it was a lot of your guidance that helped me through that.
Well, but you know what? And I'll say this, just being self-critical, you can always find like a lobbyist or a government affairs person who says, slow down. Right. And sometimes, it's a dance. Politics is a dance, right? Sometimes you push, sometimes you pull, sometimes you punch, sometimes you parry. You've got kind of this, but there's not always a right answer. But what I would say is, like, ultimately, and I've been doing this a long time, I hope that I'm usually on the aggressive side of things, pushing the envelope. Again, I don't think advocacy should be comfortable. I don't think advocacy should always be the low-hanging fruit. I think you push, you evolve, you develop. But there are times, and this year in certain states where I was like, I don't know. I don't know if this is the time. I'm not sure. But you know what? There comes a time where, like, ferocity beats experience. And I think that there's independent pharmacists and I think PUTT, right? You the work you do passionately, and I think you do ferociously, right? And so that redeems a lot of political. And look, there are times where Lord knows I've burned bridges and been too aggressive at times in certain states as well. But the bottom line is, like, fighting hard is going to win you more fights than not. And I think, like, you all are proof to that as an organization. I mean, you guys have been in the thick. I don't even know how you keep up with it all, right? Not Monique. It's like you and Shannon and working day and night, right? But y'all are in the thick of a lot of fights and winning a lot of them.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that. Everything that you see, everything that everyone sees at PUTT is I'll tell you right now, we have the hardest working board of directors in all of advocacy and nonprofit.
Absolutely.
I don't know any organization, I haven't seen one yet, whose board works as hard as this board. And frequently when I'm giving presentations, I'll make a point to just stop and say, like, not only does this board, not only do you guys work your ass off, and they do, but they pay for the privilege. They're actually PUTT members as well. So they're regularly, donating not just their money, but their time and their effort and their knowledge to be able to do this. And then they themselves represent other members who are out there. Because unfortunately, not everybody can be on the PUTT board. We'd have, a large, unwieldy board if we could have everybody, and believe me, we'd love to. But I think we've got some of the very best people. And I think it's taken us from where we started, which was this nice idea that if we got enough publicity on the PBM problem, everyone would be so mad that they'd want to do something about it. And unfortunately, what we discovered was everyone was really mad, but they're so entrenched that we can't do a whole heck of a lot in our current system. They're too big to regulate. They are, for some reason that my brain can't get its head around, they're too big to jail. I honestly cannot conceive of that.
Yeah.
But they are where they are, and it requires this level of engagement. And thank God we've got this board of directors. You guys are amazing, and thank God for our members, because every single one of our members, puts the time and the effort and the heart and the soul into it.
Yeah, I know PUTT's been all gas, no brakes ever since I joined, and been on the board. And
I give all credit to Chris.
Yep, Chris does everything.
Yeah.
But when I joined, I just love that PFB has criminal penalties for what the PBMs are doing. And there has been nothing that's excited me more than seeing that, because it should be absolutely illegal what's going on. And it's crazy. We have laws we don't have the laws to do that, for the fraud, waste, and abuse. We've got $1 billion in fines to CVS alone this year. And I don't know how much to the other PBMs. It's like, the fines aren't doing it. We need some real concrete criminal action against these people, because they're going to keep paying the fines with the money that they're defrauding from, the government, from patients, from pharmacies in their networks. I just love PFP. I'm so excited for it to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Patients Before Monopolies Act too.
Yes.
We talked about Arkansas Act 624, which is a kind of forerunner, different law. I think Jake Auchincloss did a great job of distinguishing that the state law is the law of licensure, so PBMs make a choice, whereas I think Patients Before Monopolies, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, would require a full-on divestiture of PBMs and pharmacies.
That's what it contemplates. And I still think, how cool is it? Like you look at the sponsors of that bill, and you have, Senators Warren and Senator Hawley leading that fight in the Senate. It's cool.
Just polar opposites.
Absolutely.
But this is an issue that spans, party. This is something that affects everyone. And I think we're going to see more of that